It is the 25th day of the 31 days of RPG-A-Day 2021. The four prompts today are welcome, tradition, fresh, and box. I find that I'm torn between using the tradition or box prompts today, and one would continue in the vein of being about role-playing as an activity, which I've done a lot of this year, and the other would be more about a type of product, which I've not done very much of at all since my suggestion to move to single-word prompts was embraced for this marathon. When in doubt, and RPGs are about, go to the dice. So, today, lacking a D25, but there's always hope that Impact Miniatures will invent one, I chose to roll a D4 to select one of the four prompts. If life gets in the way of complex, try simple. For fun, though, I chose a glow-in-the-dark one to roll in the pre-dawn stillness and supercharged it with a blacklight for extra blinding glow in that period of extra dark. The result? I rolled a 2. Today's prompt will therefore be tradition, but I will pay homage to fresh by making the response about how my traditions of play have changed over the years. I suppose that if there is one thing that tradition is supposed to be, it is stable. I guess that pretty much guarantees that it won't be. Times change, and people change with the times and with their circumstances. Still, the sense of how things are to be and how they are to be done sticks with us and gives us a sense of connection to the past, even as we understand that tradition, as we might understand it, is a process of change. When I first started gaming, the chance to play came regularly, but without warning or preparation. The time, place, and circumstances, not to mention the players present, were seemingly random. One small piece of order we applied to the chaos was to start with a review of the character sheets, so that everyone at the table had a sense of what and who was in play. Of course, there was hardly ever a table. But anyway, I'm sure that for some of us, that was all about preventing cheating. But for me, it was all about the characters. Who were they? What did they look like? And what could they be seen to carry? And what were they seeking to accomplish? And how did they intend to accomplish it? As time went on, this tradition, to use the word generously, evolved into a practice more deserving of the term. Play had a specific day and time. It would begin with a review of the characters, which would then segue into a recap of the previous session and a summary of any discussions we had had between the last session and this session. By the time the World of Darkness had taken off, the tradition had evolved further. I now held on to the character sheets so that I could review them and consider them during my downtime. I was playing 5 to 7 days per week at this point, and on several days, more than one game. Character review was no longer necessary, but a careful recap at the end of every session by the players and a motivating recap at the start of every session by me took its place. We would meet early to chat and socialize, and then, at the appointed time, start the recap and then play. Through the period where World of Darkness games were our focus, this tradition would evolve even further. Music playlists framed the start and end of sessions. Recaps were done from a chosen character's perspective and took on a performative aspect, so as to better highlight who and what that character was in ways that play could not always provide. Long discussions would follow play, often late into the night, at a regular roster of specific coffee shops and 24-hour restaurants. Once in Korea, I had the opportunity, but also the requirement, to begin tradition anew each time I found a new group of players. Time and mobility have always been factors here, so the complicated traditions of the past were replaced with short and pointed recaps at session start and finish, combined with allotment and assessment of a given game's experience point system, if it has one. Discussion was a variable that some groups embraced and others did not. Now, having migrated to exclusively online play with even shorter time limits, the one thing that remains of the tradition is the recap. Everything else occurs on other days and in other ways, but the recap remains. One thing which has resurfaced to my great delight, however, are the long discussions of play in a variety of places. Now not coffee shops and restaurants, now they're video and text chats and various online groups. If we were to return to face-to-face play and have the luxury to do it in a way that feels unrushed, I would bring back the in-character recap, notably seen in our first Star Trek Adventures campaign, and the post-game discussions. It's funny, though. The one aspect of online play which has become a significant part of how I view my gaming now is the opportunity to record and therefore revisit it. And I would miss that new tradition if it were to go away. Just as an update for those who are unaware, at the end of the written blog post on this topic and in the description box for this podcast episode, there are links to examples from our play. And today's exciting link is a playlist filled with examples of the long discussion I just finished praising. So if you're up for that, it's available for you. These Reflections videos cover recaps of the game. They cover insights into the mechanisms and systems of play, into the nature of characters, the nature of the players, and the development of the campaign as a whole. It's a lot more than people just talking about their characters. You've been listening to the Casting Shadows podcast, which, as we've mentioned at least once before during this marathon, is an extension of the Casting Shadows blog and the Casting Shadows YouTube channel, which appears under the name of Runeslinger. For the month of August, we've been participating in daily prompts for RPG A Day 2021. If you'd like to know more about that, follow the hashtag RPG A Day 2021, and see what you discover.